What's going on, you guys? So, Fatal Fury Part 1, man. Absolute dud of a card, in my opinion. Wasn't impressed, really, by anyone tonight. I was looking forward to this card this whole entire week. Got off work today early, and I was like, man, I can't wait to, just chill out and watch these fights, and all of them sucked. I thought Teofimo Lopez, though, I thought he looked all right. There was glimpses of, the Teo that at one point in time looked to be like a real star in the sport and a real threat to the 135-pound division, the 140, maybe even 147 pounds. We saw glimpses of that tonight, I believe. I think overall he won this fight off of his athletic ability, just being the quicker, sharper fighter, just overall just better. And I think Barboza was just outmatched. I think Teofimo Lopez did everything better in the ring than Barboza. And I had high hopes for Barboza. I actually had picked him to win and pull off the upset. A lot of that was dependent on what kind of Teo was going to come into the ring. I had thought throughout this build-up, as time went on, that Teo was just going to look stupid in the ring and do stupid stuff. But, I mean, he looked calm, cool, and collected in there. And he looked good. I mean, he got the win. I still feel, Teofimo Lopez, his power has not carried to 140 pounds. And I think talks of him moving to 147 need to stop. I think he's going to be too small, not have enough pop at that weight class to compete with the guys that he's, calling out, like Boots. And I don't even know why he continues to call out Crawford. I think Crawford and Boots would absolutely kill him in the ring. But nonetheless, I thought he looked good tonight. And that same, thought of him going to 147, I had the same thought for Haney and Garcia, because they both have talked about, going to 147. I mean, Garcia and Rolly fought at 147 tonight, and Haney was fighting at a catchweight in preparation for moving to 147. I think these guys need to stop and just stay at 140 for a while, because none of them really possess the punching power, even at 140, to even think about going to 147. I think, Boots would destroy every single one of these guys. And I don't even need to talk about Crawford. Crawford would do him even worse. But Devin Haney, Jose Ramirez, a lot of people had thought this fight was going to be a 50-50 fight. A lot of question marks coming into it about what Devin Haney will look like in the ring after, the loss to Ryan Garcia. And Devin Haney won. That's about all you can say. This fight was really boring, if I'm, just being completely honest with you guys. And this isn't even me trying to bash on Devin Haney. I think Devin Haney's a good boxer, but this fight was absolutely boring. And I think any Devin Haney fan that wants to bash on Shakur Stevenson for his De Los Santos performance or him being quote-unquote boring, that needs to stop, because this fight was pretty much on that level, if not worse, than the De Los Santos performance from Shakur. I saw Jim Lampley on a video, I think that Fight Hype did, talking about the fights, and two of these fights tonight on this card, out of 15,000 fights that CopyBox has recorded, two of these fights tonight were top 5 lowest punch output. That is absolutely crazy. I mean, that fight obviously was Devin Haney, and then the main event you had Rolly Romero and Ryan Garcia. Both of those fights were top 5 lowest CopyBox punch output of all time, out of 15,000 fights that CopyBox has recorded. So, I mean, that goes to show you that fight was absolutely boring. As I was watching it, Haney, I don't know if it's just him being afraid of, getting caught with another left hook or a big shot, but he used a lot of foot movement, a lot of movement around the ring, with pot shot here and there. He landed a couple of good shots, but overall this fight was just so boring, and I think Jose Ramirez just needs to hang it up. I don't know. I thought he was trash tonight. And I just wasn't impressed by really anyone. And going on to, the Garcia versus Romero fight, a lot of people, again, were picking Ryan Garcia to actually knock out Rolly Romero. And this fight went the distance, and Rolly Romero pulled off the upset. Very, very underwhelming fight card from top to bottom. I think, honestly, the most competitive fight and the most, like, exciting fight to watch was, I don't even remember the dude's name, but it was a, young Asian prospect that made his debut tonight, and he fought a guy that was 1-2, and that was a competitive fight. These guys were landing bombs on each other. That fight was more exciting than any one of these fights tonight. And my apologies, I don't remember his name, but I thought he looked good tonight. Southpaw, looks promising, and, congratulations to him, but I forgot his name. But overall, man, a lot of people are reacting to this fight already, the Ryan Garcia Romero fight, saying this is what Ryan Garcia looks like without PEDs. And I mean, it's hard to argue that. I don't think anyone can argue that fact that, this may be what Ryan Garcia really looks like without the juice. I mean, a lot of people also have been talking about his body, the way his body looked coming into the ring and in training camp. Him not having, like, the same muscle, looking softer, I mean, I had watched a couple videos by, like, a couple guys that, have history doing steroids and bodybuilding and stuff. And Ryan Russo and Derek More Plates, More Dates, they both did videos reacting to Garcia testing positive when he fought Haney. And they both were saying that Garcia actually had, like, very, very minimal trace amounts of Austrian in his system. But I also remember him having some other type of substance that he tested for, but within, like, the second or third test they did, that substance wasn't there. So, I mean, I say that to say this. I believe the stuff that he had tested positive for could have potentially just been cover-ups for bigger, more, stronger substances. I don't know what those were, masking agents is what they would be called. Masking agents to hide away some of the different substances that Garcia may have been taking. That's one of my thoughts. I could be wrong. But he didn't look the same. And the fact that you got beat by a Rolly Romero, it speaks volumes. Because a lot of people think Rolly Romero is trash. He's a big puncher. But aside from that, like, the only other thing it could be is just a stylistic nightmare for Ryan Garcia. But I think if you're an actual elite boxer, you would pick Rolly Romero apart. So this just makes the Devin Haney win look like a fluke win and a win that he had because he took steroids. That's what it looks like. And I mean, the whole Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia rematch, all that is done now. That fight loses so much luster because of what Ryan Garcia did tonight. I mean, and Devin Haney didn't do it any favors by, dancing around the ring for 12 rounds. Both of these guys' stocks dropped drastically. And if I'm Turki Al-Sheikh, I'm going to be really hesitant to put together another card, including these guys in my cards. These guys really sucked it up tonight. And I thought, they would perform really, really good. And I thought this was going to be just an awesome card because of where it was placed at, in Times Square, in the middle of the freaking street. Like that, I thought that was really cool. Seeing these guys hop out in sick cars and then come to the ring, I just thought that was really, really cool. And I thought these guys would actually show up and, perform really well. But I don't feel no one did. But I don't know where any of these guys go now. I feel like the fight to make would be at 140, and it would be Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez. That's really the only fight. Or you throw Richardson Hitchens in with either one of them. But I don't want to see a Ryan Garcia Devin Haney rematch. I don't. Excuse me. And with Ryan Garcia, I don't know what you do with him. I mean, run it back with Rolly. Or I don't know. Every one of them looked bad. But one thing I saw when they were, when the fight was happening with Garcia and Rolly was, it said WBA welterweight title. And if that fight was really for a welterweight title, that's crazy for one. And that just means that Rolly Romero is a 2-division champ. Rolly Romero is a 2-division champ then. And this could have been for an interim title. I don't want to, push too hard on that. But if that's the case, dude, that's honestly pathetic. And that just speaks to how weak boxing is, or how political boxing is. For Rolly Romero to be even a champion is crazy for one. But a 2-division champion is just absurd. And it's hard to believe, honestly. But hopefully, this same thing doesn't happen tomorrow with Canelo and that whole card. Really, the only fight on there I'm maybe going to tune into is the Canelo fight, just to see how he looks before he fights Crawford. And I sure hope he don't go in there and get his head boxed off by William Skull. William Skull looked pretty ripped in the weigh-in and appears to be, a boxer with a Cuban school boxing background. Probably he's got a great amateur pedigree, but I don't know, man. With the way tonight went, I would hope it wouldn't happen, because I don't want that payday to get ruined for Crawford, and I want him to be 3-division undisputed. But man, that would be crazy, and I wouldn't necessarily be too surprised if William Skull goes in there and just boxes Canelo's head off. But where do these guys go from here? Do you guys even want to see a Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia rematch? I mean, who do you want to see Haney fight next? Who do you want to see Tio fight next? And is this way too premature for these guys to be talking about going to 147 when none of them really did anything at 140? None of them fought each other yet. So how about clear out 140 and then go to 147? Let me know what you guys think about that. Let me know what you guys thought about tonight's fights. Hate, like, comment, subscribe. Till next time.